we have one more step. Let me do it real quick. I gotta figure out how to get to it.
What are you trying to get to?
Says it's offline. Stream health is starting. Hurry up. Start. Go.
Wait. Ooh. I saw it.
Yeah, it's working. It might be slow, but we can figure that out.
What are we doing now?
I'll leave that open, and I've got to get...
Ooh, it's lagging. Oh, you're trying to reduce the bitrate thing?
No, I've got to get the URL so I can...
Wait, hang on, I think I know how to do that. Yeah, there you go. What are you typing on? Oh. What is that?
It's the comments for the previous stream.
Oh, okay.
So anyone that gets to it should be able to see that. It says one watching now, that's us.
Oh, okay. I felt really good for a second. What are we doing now?
Try to get it to stop freaking out.
Freaking out like it lagging?
Yes.
Could we change the thing on here, or is it stuck like the other one?
What do you mean?
Like, so we can't edit the feed?
We can do even less with this. Oh my, come on.
What is that shortcut open task manager?
Control Shift Escape.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Happy? Oh, hey, we have two! We have two!
Maybe. Can't see who's who, so. Put your hand in front of the cam.
Alright, put it over.
It's really laggy, so.
6.
And it's buffering, so. We really don't have fast enough internet for this.
Hang on, I'm gonna Can we edit this? Can we edit what this is showing outwards?
No, we can't change any of it. All we can change is an OBS.
Okay, what are we streaming through OBS?
That.
So how is it uploading? Is it uploading good or bad?
I don't know.
Probably bad. Oh, we lost a viewer. Never mind. Used to me, I lost a viewer. Stream health. What is this? Oh, it's the data. Hey, look. If we stopped it, we might be able to edit this stuff. Look. Optimize for less viewer buffering.
You have to stop the stream for that.
You want me to do that?
Try it.
Alright.
That's the setting I was trying to get to in OBS.
It's still buffering. Look, hang on. It still said this.
That's why it's refreshed.
There we go. Alright, you want me to put my hand in front of it? Oh, but it looks horrible. And it's still buffering.
I'm not sure if that's because of our download or our upload.
Maybe it's both combined. Going to put my hand in front of it.
No, I just need to see if it'll load.
Whoa, he's a magic camera guy.
Yep. It's hearing everyone talk right now. Cool. It's really laggy. Like
You want me to-
a minute and a half behind. But,
You want to put my hand behind it, see how long it takes?
no.
Sir, you're on camera.
Are you ready
Yes, sir.
with the national anthem
Oh, yes, sir.
in a moment or two?
Yeah, not right now. Okay, fantastic.
You will cue me, right?
Sure. All right, guys, we're going to get started. First of all, thanks for coming. I didn't have a chance to shake your hand. I appreciate you guys coming down here. We're very, very happy to be hosting down here in Shawnee today. I want to say thanks to our booster club that provided the food and whatnot over there. Appreciate it. We make sure that we're well fed when we do things like this, so we can count on them to take care of everybody today. So first of all, we're going to have the presentation of the colors and the anthem. Everyone would like to stand for that, and our honor guard will come in. Appaloosa.
Spell of prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, we seek your guidance today. We seek your leadership in the ones who are changing command. May they lead and guide as you would strengthened, and may they truly be the leaders you've chosen. We thank you and we praise you. Amen.
Take a seat. This time I'll turn over the floor to the members of the chain of command.
I present the new group commander, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Herbert. Sir, may I have the room?
So you've got a party here for.
Oh, fantastic. You do? Okay, the room is yours.
Well, this is nothing new to me as far as being group commander, but yet again it is. It's a different time, different experiences, and I've learned quite a bit over the years, so hopefully that will enhance my abilities. But Lieutenant Colonel Mitchell stepped up to take command 3 years and a couple days ago. And we've enjoyed his words of wisdom periodically over the years, and his experiences, and definitely look forward to seeing a lot more of him. Maybe getting the operations side down the road a little bit, and seeing the group history officer. So it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure knowing you all these years. So,
I just want to say it's been an honor and privilege to be commander of Group 1 and to come to know and respect all of you. I mean, the reason we're here back there in the doorway, drinking and eating a little bit, so we do it for them, so let's keep doing it for them. Thank you.
and to keep things going forward and quickly this afternoon, all as I will say is to you all, I will be in touch.
Okay, did you find out if our video feed's working? Outstanding. Well, we're here today for a couple other reasons. One of them is when I accepted command from the region commander, and by the way, our previous wing commander is out here in the audience, and he did an outstanding job. And again, as I put it to the region commander, and in fact to the national commander, we stand on the shoulders of those who come before us. And so I thank you, sir, again, for all your service and the years that I worked under you. One of the things that I brought up was the concept of a town hall meeting. A town hall meeting is a chance for all members to attend. So I really appreciate you taking the time to be here today. And the concept is being able to relay and transfer the vision and the mission that's been laid out in front of us one-on-one without any filters. And then also, at the end, there'll be a chance for you to one-on-one. It's going to be an interactive. You're going to have a chance to ask questions. Now, I can't say that we're going to be able to answer all those questions today, or that we're going to be able to address all of them, but I do have my proctor at the back of the room right now who is ensuring that this is all captured. And this is happening within each group within the Illinois wing. And these are our targets as we move forward. So, what's our agenda for today? Number one, we'll go through our rules of engagement. Number two, the vision statement. Then we'll take a look at where are we now, so that we know where we're starting from. Because as you know, there's 2 points on that map we're trying to maneuver through, right? There's the beginning and there's the end. Which hopefully at the end, we then set a new azimuth and we move from that target. So where are we going? We're going to set our azimuth, and then how do we get there? We're going to establish our strategy and show you some of the tactics that we're looking at right now. And then finally, we'll go through a synopsis so that we understand that this dialogue, this communication is full duplex. It's not just me sending it out to you. You also can tell me that you understand what this message is. And then we'll go into the open forum questions. So rules of engagement: please be professional, please be considerate of others. Please hold questions until transitions. If you don't know what transition means, that means when the slide changes, that's probably the appropriate time to be asking questions, not in the middle of it. No shouting out, please. We do have members that also are doing this online. And questions should pertain to wing needs at this point in time. This is not a gripe session. I'm happy to hear those, but those will be offline. And then please pass personal questions through your chain of command, okay? So with that understood, wing vision. I think we covered some of this topic during the banquet, which was right after the change of command, but to say it one more time, because you're going to hear this for the next 4 years, to develop standards, techniques, and assets that exploits our existing and future technologies in service to our wing, region, and nation. CAP is a unique organization. As we go through these slides today, you'll find out how unique it is. The Air Force, as part of being the total force concept, understands that and has made it very clear that our mission has changed. And our mission will be changing dynamically as we move on. So where we are right now and where we are 4 years from now will be different. But we have talents. Unlike the Air Force, which goes in specialties, you stay in those specialties, you stay in those tracks, you've got those guidelines. CAP, we do have specialty tracks, but each one of us are professionals in the outside world. We bring a knowledge base that otherwise is untapped. What we want to do is tap into those. We want to start using that to come up with cost-effective methods to be able to address the needs that are being placed in front of us. So we're not going to be just looking at what we have now. We have to be looking at where are we going 4 years from now. As an example, the Air Force has in their plan, and by the way, my background, for those of you who don't know, I worked in the advanced bomber section at Northrop for a number of years. We were brought up to speed back, believe it or not, in 1987 of where the Air Force is now. So the Air Force is always looking 30 years ahead. 30 years ahead, that's phenomenal. And believe me, they're on track. One of those tracks we're gonna find out about today, which is really exciting for CAP. Our wing motto, committed to service. So, at this point, anybody got any feedback on what they think that means? Committed to service? Interactive session, somebody's gonna answer. Dedicated. Dedicated? Okay, dedicated. It means you're not looking out for yourself. There's a reason why you come to CAP. We come here from camaraderie. We come here for our communities. If you're like me, the reason why I joined CAP is because one day I know I'm going to be at a low point in my life, hoping that somebody is out there able to help me. And that's what we're here for. Did you all have some issues down south, down here a little bit earlier with some weather? I think so. I think there was at least 7 counties declared disaster areas. Those people are having a low day in their life. And that's what we train for. We train to help those people out. One of these days it could be us. So committed to service. Service to our nation, service to our region, service to our wing, and most of all, service to each other. And again, I think I ask you as we go through, the next couple of weeks, please keep the families and members of the Alabama wing in your thoughts and prayers because of their loss. Their loss was also our loss. So where we are now, January of 2016. There's our national numbers. 15 looks a little bit better than 8. Right around the level of 2007, but we had some big years in there. 2010, 11. 2015's low. And that's national. That's not just the Illinois League, that's national. Where do we stack up? Where do we stack up in the region? Cadets, down almost 6%. We need to be asking, why is this down? We need to figure out what the reasons why it's down. And where do you think those answers lie? Answers lie with the cadets themselves. They're your customers. They're our customers. So, one of the things that I've done in, I think it was January, I announced it. The CAC now reports directly to the wing commander. The advisor reports directly to the wing commander for one reason. I want everybody to understand that the CAC, the Cadet Advisory Council, the voice of the cadets, will not be filtered, will be brought directly to the desk of the wing commander so that attention is properly focused towards the cadet programs. And by the way, I do have a CAC advisor today, Sir Major Flavel. So that's the man. His job is, again, cadets who run the council. They have questions that have already been brought in front of the council, and they will be addressing those questions. And one of those questions is, what do we need to do? On the other side, we've got the adults. We're not looking too bad, except that we're fairly neutral. Fairly neutral. We're not gaining ground, we're not losing ground. But what do you think our target should be? Do you think holding ground is good enough? No. The one thing that has been addressed over and over again, I've heard this over and over again, nationally volunteerism is down. I know even the volunteer fire departments are having problems right now with personnel. But it reminds me of, again, I'm by the way, GE engineer for 30 years. And we had a CEO, some of you may know, Mr. Jack Welch, which I served under for a period of time. And his philosophy was, when the market's down, that's prime pickings. That is the time to strike. But when you strike, you have to have a plan. And that plan It's not the same plan that you've executed in the past. It has to be a new plan. It's gotta be unique to address the issues of the market as we stand right now. And that's what we're gonna be talking about here today. So, one of the first steps is to identify our issues. I've come up with, me and my staff, my command staff, we worked on this for a while, is that we don't know our mission. It's been stated over and over again. Members, what is our mission? What are we doing in CP? Why do I show up every day? Communications. Who do I ask for assistance? The playing field seems to keep shifting on me, and I don't know who to pass the ball to when I need to. Coordination. Why am I doing this task? Why am I being asked to do this? And I think those are, without going any further, I think those are very valid questions. I mean, you come to CAP for a reason. Each one of yours are probably unique. But we come to here for a reason. You need to understand where we're going and why we're going that direction. Now, just as in the military, sometimes, when you're under fire, you've got to make quick decisions. You make the best decision with the information you have at hand. You can't explain your reasons at that point in time. But when you get the lull in action, when you get that break, that's when you can go back and say, hey, by the way, this is the reason why we're doing it. Right now, we're under fire. As I put it to the review board, and I put it to the regional commander, is we've got a ship, for the best analogy I can come up with for you, we've got a ship that basically has been under fire, under misrepair, and needs to be fixed. We can't get underway until that's fixed. If we do that, we're going to take on more water. So we got to do damage control. We do damage control, we get everything straight, get everything fixed, we get underway, we get under best speed. So that's where we're at right now. Esprit de corps. I hope every one of you are proud to wear those uniforms, because it displays a couple of things about you. Number one is your commitment to your community. Your commitment to this nation. Your commitment to excellence, which, by the way, is one of our core values, right? And finally, your commitment to each other. Brothers under fire become brothers forever. And believe me, Colonel Wolf, I think you may be able to back me up on this. Katrina, you probably remember that very well. When you're having a bad day and you're under fire, you're in the middle of action, even a disaster relief, you become bonded with the people you work with. And that should be every day for us. We should have a commitment, and we should be proud of the units we come from. Does Shawnee know what their history is? Is it written down? Is it available to all your members? I'm not picking on anybody. This is the unit I'm at right now. We've lost track of our history. A lot of units have lost track of their history. You need to be proud of your history. You need to be proud of when your unit became activated. That should be celebrated every year as a birthday. I have taken steps which basically the wing, I'll put it that way, the wing has taken steps that we've implemented our history program to a lot deeper level than we have in the past. We now have 6 historians, which, by the way, Colonel Mitchell, you're one of our historians. 6 historians now that are actively pulling in our history. We are researching the history of all the units to make it available to the units that don't know what their histories are. We've actually taken on the whole down there near which was the old Air Force base that had the Chinook. We took on the full Chinook display that now is when he resigned with the Illinois Wing. So we recovered all of it because they shut down completely. That's all being ready because we do plan on displaying it this year. Does anybody know what is going to be unique about this coming year? 75 years. 75 years of proud service to this nation. So, we want to make sure that's celebrated. So, esprit de corps. You need to be proud of where you are. You need to be proud of those who served before you. In fact, I think this year right now, we have 2 CGMs that will be awarded. One of them I was just made aware of yesterday, and another one that I was made aware of late this last year. So I'm hoping that if you have the capability of attending, you do attend those CGM awards. So what is our mission? We've all heard about Total Force. Total Force is more than just, I'll tell you, it's a breath of fresh air. One of the things when I went through the Wing Commander's course back at Maxwell, besides them trying to gas me out with chlorine, which that was a whole escapade unto itself. General Quast, the day before, in fact, I never equated that. General Quast was in the day before, and then we had the chlorine attack the next day. But General Quast came in, and who's in charge of the AETC, and gave us a long presentation. When I say long, I don't mean that it was boring in the least. It felt like it lasted 15 minutes. It was a breath of fresh air. The Air Force has stated, and they understand that, and this goes all the way up to the Joint Chiefs, is this total force concept. The Air Force understands they have a fixed and limited resource. That fixed and limited resource needs to be exploited. Assets assigned, assets recognized, assets assigned, so that they can address all their needs globally. Out of that total force, CAP is one of the elements. They recognize CAP because CAP is a unique organization. They are not bound by Title 10 rules and restrictions. For that reason, they can call upon us to do things that they are unable to do. What they're asking is, we are becoming the liaison between the outside agencies and the Air Force because they're restricted from certain activities. They recognize that. And there was a direct correlation drawn for us that says, this is what we need you to do. We need you to start establishing contact with other DoD agencies. We need for you to make contact with outside agencies, FEMA, Customs and Borders. We need for you guys to go out there and act as our voice, act as our agent. We need for you to be going to your local municipalities. Your local municipalities may not understand that we are an asset available to them. So does this kind of come full circle? Because I know for years I've heard we're the best kept secret, CAP. And guess what? Part of that's our own fault. I think everybody's been waiting for somebody else to introduce us. We need to start making the introductions. We need to act as liaison. CAP is now actively being taught at Maxwell Air Force Base, at AETC. There's a whole section on CAP now. So your new officers that are heading out to the field, your new officers who are in charge now of leading large groups, they're now learning about CAP and what they can provide. So the Air Force is doing their part of taking away us as being the best kept secret. We need to start having our voices heard too. Communications. We need to follow chain of command, and there's a reason for that. And it's not just that people want to filter and restrict information. You need to follow chain of command for a reason. We cannot have people duplicating efforts all over the place. There is enough to take on right now. every unit, every person in this wing, if they were to give it their full-time capability, we probably would still be struggling to keep up. That's why we gotta grow. But we can't afford for two people to be working on the same project at the same time, unless it's coordinated. So we're not producing the same product out of two different locations. We need to have a common base of knowledge. Our specialty tracks have become a little bit stagnant, I'm sorry to say. One of the problems I had when I went to go pull up to get a staff, my chief of staff is back there and can concur with me, is that to find qualified people, few and far between. Why? We're not training. Number two, those who have been trained are not training others. And number three, those who have trained aren't continuing their training. Three things we need to address that. We need to ensure that messages are sent to the proper party. Goes right with that need to follow chain of command. Because, sir, not picking on you, but if you decide that you're going to go to national and not backfill me on what's going on, then I have another person coming to me and asking the same question. I'm burdening that person down at national now with possibly 3 separate questions coming in. That's the same one. If it comes through one channel, at least I know that when that person comes and says, sir, I've got this question I want to go national about. No, I'm sorry. I've already got another person in the middle of it. As soon as he's got the answer, we'll share it with everybody. And conversely, from each echelon on up. So we need to coordinate better. We need to know who to contact. To help us understand the need or who to contact, the Illinois Wing website has been undergoing a major rework. And Captain Youngblood is here. And thank you very much for all your assistance with it, first of all. I actually had a call from Major Bowden this week, the region PAO, and he is ecstatic about the site because we're one of the first ones to be coming up on the new template. And so they're really excited about it. So we are leading the way there. One of the things that IT is doing is, number one, providing training to all those who are maintaining the website, which the concept of a CMS, it's not one person, it's many people. The person who's in charge of that area maintains their part of the website. And then number two is our email list. You'll find this coming out this next week. The new email list, published email list, which we now have functional addresses for you to send information through. There's a whole structure. If you, sir, as the group AEO, want to contact the AEO at, say, a particular unit, you do basically, I believe it's, and you'll have to go by the email, but the way it originally was unit, and I believe AEO at. So it's always unit, functional designator at illinois.gov, and you will get to that person. So when one person leaves out of a position, that email address gets transferred to a new person. So it always keeps the chain. You don't have to know who to contact. You just want to know the department you want to contact. So that's going to be rolled out this week. One big problem I've noticed is when you receive a message and it infers that there's an action to be taken on your part, please always respond back, acknowledge. That's all, just one word, acknowledge. That's all it takes. But otherwise, too many times says, I don't remember getting that email. I don't remember getting that email. Well, guess what? If the acknowledge comes back, then we can help remind you that you did receive that email. And we can send you that email back again. But it's no longer going to be acceptable to say, I didn't get the email. You need to comprehend the message. If you don't understand the message, ask for amplification. It's very easy. But for us to move forward professionally, we need to acknowledge and ensure we understand. In fact, there's in sales, there's a concept called reflexive listening. And if you've never used it before, you may have unintentionally. But reflexive listening, somebody says something to me. one of the things, and those who have worked around me understand, I will come back and say, so what I heard you say is, and I will repeat that, kind of like ATC. When you get an ATC clearance, right? They want to read back, same thing. I read back, this is what I heard. That way the listener says, yeah, you got it. You're on the nose. If you didn't, they'll correct you, right? But let's try to use this type of corrective feedback. And we need to provide timely responses. And I hope anybody who's passed anything over the wing desk has seen that it doesn't have to sit there for very long. Usually they're answered within hours, if not within a day. Had very few. I've tried to, and my staff has tried to ensure that we get very timely responses. Coordination. Oh, need to follow chain of command. We've heard that one already. Need to determine if others have the same issues. Remember we talked about that a little bit earlier on the prior one? We need to observe the guidelines and best practices. You're going to start seeing, and in fact, I was hoping that they would have been completed before the end of January. Unfortunately, if you don't know, and it's not an excuse, but I did not make notice to the wing, but I had eye surgery done. I was legally blind in one eye. I can honestly say that my new set of glasses, that the eye surgery did work now, and I now have better than 20/20 in that eye again, so it's kind of nice to have stereoscopic vision again, being able to see things. So I've been out of the saddle a little bit on that, so I apologize, but supplements by directive of national, through region, and now down to league. Supplements, they're going to be very minimal. Very minimal supplements. There's no reason for supplements. Supplements are in rare occasions. Command directives, that's the whole reason for the regulations is command prerogative. There will be command directives. There will be OIs, operating instructions, tell you how to do something. But very few supplements to regulations. We don't need to enhance that. We don't need to bracket. We need to allow personnel to observe best practices. That's the reason why I say we need to observe guidelines and best practices. Those will be coming out as OIs, those will be coming out as command directives. We need to prioritize and combine our efforts. You know, it may be a trigger for you. One of the things I've noticed in CAP, you know, have you ever noticed there's a lot of type A personalities? I think it's almost a requisite to be in the organization, but a lot of type A's. You know, and some of us just have those triggers that just, oh man, it gets under your set, but guess what? It may not be a priority. We've got to get the low-hanging fruit. We've got to get the priorities. We've got to get us out of the muck first. We need to combine efforts. There is no reason Shawnee should think that they have to take on the full load themselves. There's no reason why any unit in this organization has to think they take on the full load. The group the same way. We're all one cap. I think I brought this up during the banquet, but to re-amplify, we are one CAP. We are able to transfer assets, which we proved, by the way, with our new GA. We're able to transfer assets across weeks. We're able to function and train across weeks. We are able to work from here to Washington seamlessly. We can't be putting artificial barriers in between. The only way we're going to be able to accomplish this task is to be able to work together. We need to develop services and processes. And I hope that's what you start seeing. More flowing out of WIG. Because we'll understand how that whole process works. The processes. How many of you in here are pilots? Okay. How do you ensure that you don't miss one step in preparation for takeoff? Checklist. Guess what? That's a process. It's a process. I start from here. Boom, 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 boom. I get down to here. Because at the end, you hate to be ready to take off And then, oops, I forgot one step. Flaps are still up. I've got a heavy load. That's an accident waiting to happen. So, processes, ensure. Services. We are attempting, I think what you've seen from national, you've seen the concept of automation to our benefits and also to our detriment so far. Some of them have went very smoothly, some of them went, but that's what happens when you're on the leading edge developing things. So, in all, I think it's a very positive move forward. The more that we can automate, the simpler we can make it to get these tasks done, the better off we're going to be as an organization. But along with that, you have to feel good about what you're doing. You know, you can't feel, oh, I'm wasting my time. You can't feel that I don't have a voice in the decisions that are being made. You can't feel, I can't rely on the person next to me. You know, those are all detrimental. I hope all of you are proud of, again, what you're doing, because I know I'm proud of each and every one of you. Taking time out of your busy schedule. Time is a very precious commodity, and to give that time today is very beneficial. Very beneficial to us, hopefully very beneficial to you. Pride in your organization. Proud of what you're doing. The fellowship. I know a lot of ex-military in here that they feel still a very strong bond with the other members. And again, I hope that every one of you feel that same way. A strong bond. Because again, you know, I won't go into that. What I was going to say is that that is a deep subject that I hope each one of you have a chance to reflect on. Is CAP is the type of person that joins it, is instead of running away from a person in need or a problem, they're the one running to it. And that's a very, you're an odd commodity, all of you. And I thank you for that. But you need to feel like you have a voice in the organization. Just because you have a voice in the organization does not mean that your direction is always going to be taken. It doesn't mean that your voice hasn't been heard. It just means that there are other conditions out there that are driving the direction that we're going. So please, again, that's what this is here today, for your voice to be heard. Those of you who know me have heard this statement before, return on investment. You know, why do I come to CAP each week? Have any of you ever thought, what's my annual investment? I know those of you who are married, your spouses will probably remind you of what your annual investment has been. And if you come away from your meeting saying, wow, what did I get this week? What was my paycheck? Now, are my needs being met? If you're a pilot, your needs being met may be time up in the air. That's great. But to earn that time in the air, there's other things you've got to do too. It's a give and take. It's a relationship. So what am I providing to CAP? Bigger than that, what am I providing to my fellow members? Because I think we lose track of that. At the end of the week, what have you done to make somebody else's life better? So that's where we're at right now. Any questions? Comments? Everybody still breathes. Okay, so then we get on step 2. Where are we going? Improvements. Improvements. Command and control. Command and control needs to be improved. We'll go over those. Written processes. Written processes. You come to anybody else, and I hope you all hold each other to the standard. Well, I was told this. Well, you better have a piece of paper saying where that came from. I got no problem with verbal instructions. Just need to know where it came from when it came from, and possibly the optional why was this even addressed. But these verbal instructions aren't working. Not at all. In fact, I think you'll see if something comes out as a verbal instruction from Wing, you'll find out it will immediately come out in a written form. And if it doesn't, please come and ask for that written form. Functional services. Functional services. Not services that we believe, but you believe are needed. In other words, who in here is anybody here in finance? You live with your FMPs, you live with your guidance that comes from above, right? That's all written, and you enforce it based off of that, correct?
That's affirmative, sir.
Anybody here in aerospace besides him, because I know you're aerospace too. Aerospace, the same thing, right?
There you go.
Even to the point that, again, the STEM kits now have to go through Wing approval, which, by the way, I've got national to fix. There was a bug in there. Every time I hit approve, it kept coming up. Have you ever seen the e-services bug page? Yeah. Kept on getting the bug, and I'm going, so we got that one straightened out. Less baseline workload. And we're going to touch on that in a minute. But remember that. Less baseline workload. Okay? Increased participation. We're going to go into that a little bit deeper too. Innovation. And then finally, the big one, fun. Joe, I'm going to pick on you for a second. Was it fun to fly down here today?
Todd and I had a great time.
Yeah, the guy in the back seat was too loud.
We can isolate you from the intercom. So
That's right.
No, it was fun.
So it was fun.
Absolutely. He was fun.
We'll go into the more fun, but unit baseline workload. What I've heard from the unit commanders, and I've heard loud and clear, is that how am I supposed to do this other stuff that you're asking me to do when I spend 80% of my time doing the stuff you say I have to do? If I'm spending 80% of my time doing nationals work, regions work, wings work, groups work, then when am I supposed to get my work done? And I've heard that loud and clear. The target is to take that 80% down to 40%. That's our target. Now, what will that do? That means instead of 20% of that leftover time, that I've got to do all these things that everybody wants to do. I've now got 60% of my time to do that. More than half of my time I can spend on what people want to do. How are we going to do that? Standardized processes. Everybody doing the same thing the same way. How are we going to do that? Functional services. Automation. We're going to reduce that workload down. So hopefully that's a good sign, and that is something that the unit commanders want to hear. Because at the end of the day, everything above the unit commander is nothing but whipped cream on top of the dessert. We are the, and I say we, group commanders, wing staff, wing commander, region commander, national commander. Anything above the unit is what we call overhead. Our job is to help the unit become as productive and as efficient as they can, because that's where the work's being done. But if you can't get your work done, then we're causing the problem, not fixing the problem. Any questions on unit-based workload? This, I believe, is very achievable, by the way, this reduction in workload. But it's going to take buy-in and work by all. It's not going to happen magically overnight. It's also not going to happen magically. You know, the process fairies are not going to come in, and the next morning we have this stuff done. Each one of you are going to need to contribute to these processes. Each one of you are going to need to test the processes. Each one of you are going to have to provide feedback on the processes. Same thing on the services. Increased participation. Okay. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? One bite at a time. But guess what? The more people you got, the less bites you got to take. So, and yeah, that can either be finance or command there at the back end. You know, it's one of the two. It's synonymous with both. Usually they get the back end of it. But each one of you take a piece of that big elephant, which is this efficiency problem that we have, and we will tear it down. Okay? But it's going to take each one of you. You know, I've heard from one of the sticking points that I've heard so far is, well, all I want to do is fly. And I think that's great. You know? All I'd like to do is take vacation. But that ain't going to work. So we all got to chip in. We all got to put in work. Guess what? If one person has put it in 20 hours, but you divide that up over 10 people, you know, now you're only putting in a minimum workload. Life becomes better. You have more to do. You have more time with your families. Some of you that are retired may not want that, but you know, you have more time with your families. You got more time to do what you want to do. Innovation. We succeed through innovation, not by holding the status quo. We need to innovate daily. You know, have you ever felt like that poor guy over there? Hey, I got a great idea. And everybody else is going, nah, I'm too busy. I don't have time for it. Commanders, members, I address it to both. It's basically accept all ideas. Accept all ideas. You know, there's going to be some that you're going to want to issue them their tinfoil hat. There are others you're going to go, wow, why didn't I think of that myself? But at the end of the day, you can filter it, right? But again, if everybody has input, you're going to get a much broader view of what's going on. You're going to get a much broader scope of how to fix the problem than your little focus. Get away from the target fixation. Some of them talk about, thinking outside the box. This isn't thinking outside the box. We still have margins, but we're not looking at this little point in the center of the page. We're looking at the broad scope. More fun. You know, I think when I first joined, and I don't know, we used to have at our unit cookouts. When's the last time you guys said, probably here you have. I mean, after having your lunch today, and by the way, thank you again for the boosters. Thank you so much. Lunch was so good. But that's what I call fun. You know, at the end of a mission, a training mission, we used to go out and get, you know, back in my day, we used to go out, we used to get pie and hot chocolate. Take the ground team out. Of course, Baker Square went away, harder to find now, but we found something to do, right? That time together meant a lot. And looking back on it, I mean, it's nothing but fun. We need to do more of that. Why can't we have unit activities like that? You know, we used to do fox hunting at night. I got no problem at night. And by the way, cadets, that doesn't mean going out and looking for foxes. That means breaking out your radio equipment, searching for it with the beacon. But going out and fox hunting at night, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you've got the ORM under control, as long as you've got the personnel to do it, I think that's a great time. Cadets like it. Seniors, I think it's a good thing. Why can't we have group Olympics? I won't put the seniors in the middle. I kind of keep them out. Otherwise, we're going to mishap reports up the wazoo. But I think we can have things like wing challenges. In fact, you're going to hear about a couple of those wing challenges coming up. And then celebrations. We need to celebrate. I'll tell you what. I think it was my first event after the commander was come down here for your banquet. My wife and I had a fantastic time. And I thank you again for that, for inviting me down for that. It was fantastic. That has to be copied and replicated all over the place. There's no reason why that can't be done elsewhere. That's part of the fun. We gotta have the fun back. So how do we get there? Well, we're gonna go back to, some of you may have seen it, some of you may have never seen it. This is something that a GE thing. There's leadership triangle. It's kind of like, you remember the fire triangle? It's kind of like that, only converted. You can't have any one of these without the other. It just won't work. It's been proven time and time again. You're going to give somebody the responsibility, they better have the authority. And vice versa. And by the way, at the end of it, there better be accountability. You do a good job, you get a good reward. You do a bad job, you get a lesser reward. And you also get some training and possible mentoring to help you become better the next time. But that's the leadership triangle. You need to make sure whenever you perform an action, you're utilizing that leadership triangle. Because we are in a performance-based environment. You're going to hear this over and over again now. All commanders are reviewed on performance. All staff members are reviewed on performance. Performance is not based off of what somebody else does. Performance is based off of what you can do. Now, and no derogatory meant here, but when I first came into CAP, I still believe it, is that, when you come in as a senior member, as long as you can walk and tie your shoes and keep your zipper up, I think you're doing your job. But when you become that second lieutenant has a higher level of accountability. I'm expecting a little bit more than just that. As you start climbing up the grade, you're expecting more and more and more of the person. Because you've learned more, you've got more experience, you've got a larger database to work with. That's why it's based on your best effort. Your best effort as a first lieutenant may not be the same as your best effort as a colonel, sir, right? And you wouldn't expect it either way, would you? Take initiative. Fall back to GE one more time. One of the things we had, which was the fall of GE and Motorola both, was Six Sigma. We had this concept of Six Sigma. I believe in it wholeheartedly. Six Sigma is a great tool, but it's a tool. But it became people's mantras. It got to the point you couldn't take a step without going through a Six Sigma DMAIC analysis to determine if you could take the next step. And it caused business to halt. So, where it makes sense, do it. Just stay within the margins. You're going to walk into another guy's backyard, you're going to let them know when you walk into his backyard, aren't you? Just same way you expect the same thing in reciprocal when he walks into your backyard. If it makes sense, do it. But let people know that you're doing this. Own up and learn from your mistakes. I am in constant state of humbleness, constant state, because I am constantly learning. I'm constantly learning this job. I'm constantly learning all of you. It's a humbling experience. And I'll make mistakes along the way. I'll be up front with you right now. There will be mistakes I make. But I guarantee I will learn from them. And they will not happen again. And the last thing on performance-based, do not frighten your boss. You frighten your boss, and you're going to find out about one law of physics is gravity works. And it flows downhill. And believe me, you don't want it flowing down on you. Because I guarantee you, each one of us have a boss. I have a boss. My boss's boss has a boss. My boss's boss has a boss. We all have bosses. And gravity works at each step. So, any questions on gravity? I can demonstrate if you need it. Okay. Empowerment. Big thing. If you give somebody a job, let them do the job. They may not do it the same way as you, and guess what? That's not bad. It may be better, even if it's not as efficient as what you did. Because guess what? The next time that job comes around, you know who can do it. But if you don't allow them to succeed or fail, you're doing them a disservice. And that goes for seniors and cadets both. You've got to be allowed to fail. As long as it's not a catastrophic hit. We need to be able to delegate tasks. That goes along with that micromanaging of the book. We've got to be able to delegate. You cannot do everything yourself. If you think that you're alone, find somebody else. Train them. You know, CAP, I've seen from the beginning, they have this concept of mentoring instead of formalized training. Well, the wing will start some formalized training programs. Mentoring is a great tool, but it also means people need to know the parameters and how they're going to mentor. So I think it's better to start off with formalized. If we're going to start from ground zero, start from a formalized training method. But delegate the tasks. That means fire and forget. Doesn't mean you don't monitor. Just means let it go. Once you've done Fox 1, let it go. That missile's either going to find its target or it's going to miss. If it misses, all you got to do is take corrective fire. So, do not remove tasks unless necessary. That goes along with the previous one. Just because you see it going awry, just because you see that deviation, it doesn't mean take the whole thing away. It means going over there and maybe nudging them, pushing them back on course again. Don't wait for them to fail, though. Don't wait for them to fail. You see them starting to fail. Try to keep them from failing. Don't allow them to fail. It takes time to develop personnel. It's going to take time. And I've heard this out of commanders and staff members, everybody else. It's just faster than to do it myself. Well, no, it's not faster. It's more expedient for you, but it's not faster. Faster is to get somebody else trained up so that they can work on the task, and then you're freed up for something else. That's what fast is. Rewards. We need to celebrate our victories. I have heard it time and time again. Well, we don't give out awards, or Wing doesn't give out awards, or, I can't get this done. Well, guess what? There are different methods to motivate people. What do you think is the most basic motivation for somebody? What is something that I can give to you right now?
Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. A compliment means a lot. In fact, to some people, it means more than that. I mean, you come up and you say, "Here's your award, thank you," and you're done. You walk away, right? How much does that piece of paper mean to that person? Probably not much. You come over and you give somebody a sincere thank you. I don't know about you, but that means a lot more to me. So we need to develop better methods, more methods. If the only tool you have in your toolkit as a commander or a staff member, or even as a member, because a member can submit anybody else for a reward, right? So if that's your only tool in your toolkit, you've got a pretty small toolkit, and you've got to find other methods. Today, was that award designated by national? The one you gave today? Really? Why did you do that? Because it's the right thing to do. And, sir, did that mean anything to you? Those are the type of awards. Not just that piece of candy that you wear on your chest every month, probably. But we need to get rid of the cliques. Yes, there are cliques in CAP. Have any of you seen them? I better start seeing some hands. They exist. You need to get rid of them. Pilots, God bless you all, but there is another world out there besides pilots. Reach out to that world. Reach out to that other world. By the way, ground team members, same thing. Airedale, same thing. Again, we run into these little cliques. Start introducing yourself to other people. And by the way, start letting other people join in those reindeer games. You know, that's how we grow our ranks. We want to grow, not shrink. Activities should be available to all personnel, not just to my friends. I had actually an incident a week ago where I had outside the wings somebody come up and say, well, I want this unit to do this. I said, and that's great. I said, thank you. I said, that's great. We'd really like to help you out with that. But guess what? I want to open this up to the wing. Why shouldn't we be opening it up to the wing? Well, we don't have much time, and I don't know what kind of personnel they are. I said, they're good personnel. All of them are good personnel. They're great. Open it up to the wing. Everybody's got to have a chance. No more of this, well, these are the guys I know. Well, that's great. Personnel should be set up to succeed. We should never be setting somebody up to fail. Have you ever seen that happen? I see a big bunch of blank faces. This is interactive, gentlemen and ladies. I'm asking for interaction here. Okay, so we need to allow everybody to succeed. The big thing here, who makes a bad experience or a good experience? You do. I have had bad experiences in my life. Chief, I know you've had bad experiences in your life. Colonel, I bet you've had bad experiences in your life in the past 4 years. To narrow it down a little. So again, you know, we ourselves are the ones who decide what is a positive and what is a negative. If you don't learn from it, it's going to happen again. It's a lot easier to be proactive and head it off than it is for it to happen. Okay. Definition of insanity. What is the definition of insanity? Pilots are big at this one. Doing the same thing over and over again. I can't understand why it happened again. No. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We have to break out of the mold of, well, this is the way we've always done it. I don't know about you, but I've heard that time and time again. We're getting rid of that whole, I will use the phraseology, we're going to get rid of that paradigm, right? It no longer exists. The challenge to each, and this is to everybody in the wing, if not CAP. I'm addressing my wing right now, which is our wing, is there is no reason why CAP cannot have a squadron in every county of Illinois. Why do I make that statement? Anybody got an idea? Yes?
In the 40s and 50s, there was a CAP squadron at
There was-
the airport.
100%. 100%. It was in the past, it can be in the future. So you can't tell me it can't happen again. It can. It can. And that is the challenge as we move forward. But, how do we get people in? Well, you know, normally we invite people in, right? They come to our units. You know, so let's go through a scenario right now. We're gonna have an open house. So what's the first thing you gotta do? First thing you gotta do before you have an open house. Even before telling anybody about the open house. Advertise it. What do you gotta do? Look at the screen. What do you gotta do?
Clean house.
Clean house, that's right. We gotta clean house first. We don't want to invite people into a dirty house. We want to invite them into a clean house, right? So, that's what we've been working on. We've been working on cleaning house. Not saying, again, sir, please, this has no bearing on past commands. What it has is our infrastructure has changed. Again, our environment is dynamic, it is not static. What was good 4 years ago, or what was the standard 4 years ago, is not the same today. If you don't believe me, look at regulations. I don't think, there's very few that exist beyond 4 years anymore. So, we need to clean house. The next thing you gotta do, you gotta set a table, right? You gotta make everything look good. Not only have you cleaned the house, but now you gotta set out something, you gotta set it up so it's appetizing. Somebody wants to come and visit you, right? You've cleaned, now you set the table. What's the last thing you gotta do? Hopefully you're not gonna invite people over and not serve them anything. So you gotta set out a fare, right? These are the steps for growth. You wanna start bringing people into your house? You need to get that house clean. Next step, you need to set yourself up for success. You need to have people coming in here and going, wow, I didn't know CAP did this. Wow, how can I join this organization? I've got my checkbook. Here, take my fingerprints. I'm ready to go. Right? You've got to be ready. That table's got to be set. And then finally, you've got to provide a fare. And by the way, when you come in, you're a pilot? Well, we'll get you set up. We got our check pilot right over here. Or maybe you don't have a check pilot. You go, okay, I'll get in touch with the group. Group says, great, we'll get you set up. The processes are in place and everything just starts moving forward. That's how you're going to keep a member. That's how you're going to grow your squadron. That's how we're going to grow as a wing. Specifics now. Homeschool program. What I believe is a very large untapped segment. We have counties within Illinois that if you don't know the homeschool program basically, they work out of centers. Those centers are traditionally laid out around university structures. In the outside counties, some of them don't have university structures, so they have just a main reporting place. We tap into that homeschool program. That's a win-win. It's win-win because not only do we get the type of member that we're looking for, somebody who is interested in aerospace, somebody who can benefit from CAP, but they also get back leadership. They get back, what else? Aerospace education, STEM. What else do they get out of it? Community service. It's a win-win for them. We win, they win. Targeting strategic population centers. That means that, again, we're not looking, when I say strategic, we're not looking at numbers. What we're looking at is a concentration area that fits with other symbiotic businesses, such as, let's say that there's a business out there that does Cisco, maybe a Cisco center for STEM, maybe a flight center other than Boeing or one of the big. What we're looking for are these strategic centers that have population centers, plus they have symbiotic businesses. With the school program is even better. The grant program was made very clear. National is willing to train up our personnel, send people out into the field and train up our personnel to get grants. Now guess what? And I say this in all fairness, these fundraisers that we have are very minor compared to the grant programs. What's the largest, and please just give me some numbers, what's the largest fundraiser you've done? What has been the amount you brought in?
Used to do airport surveys and got $1,000 for a week's work.
$1,000 for a week's work.
Yeah, about $1,000.
About $1,000. Anybody else?
200 just for clearing tables.
200 for clearing tables. What would you say if you got $50,000 from the grant?
Better.
$50,000. Not waiting tables. Not sitting out at the airport doing surveys. I don't know what you guys are doing, and I guess I don't want to ask. But if it was approved, that's fine. I got no problem. But no, I'm saying these grants are major. So some Some of these are over $100,000. And these are not unreachable. These are very attainable targets. And in fact, I've actually got one that is doing it right now, and they're making great progress with it. And the nice thing is I went back to him and said, and by the way, this is the reason why we want to coordinate. I desire you not to be saturating the market with grants. The reason why? Because I want other people to be able to have a chance of getting into those different grant areas. So don't just be tossing things out the window. Let's do concentrated attacks to try and attain these grants and share the wealth, basically, you know? So this is a major, and I gotta tell you, yes, it does take some time, but the ground that you hoe is going to reap you great rewards. We need to refocus our current assets. One of the things we've been doing, again, we've got the aircraft that is dynamic. We redeploy our aircraft as necessary, as mission needs are. Same thing with our vans. So don't think of these as my plane, my van, my anything. Those are cap assets. They have to be redeployed to the best use within the organization. You have temporary custodianship of that asset. Be a good steward of that asset. So that goes along with that, again, the refocusing of our current assets. Increase unit efficiencies, we talked about that, that's a baseline effect. Increase our specialty training. Our specialty training, I've given a direction to the chief of staff, and he's had talks with the PDO, and I've had talks with the PDO, and I've actually got one of mine in here, staff members in here today, is that we need better specialty training. And what I mean that is, yeah, CAP doesn't have a program that says there's AOs will go through this program, and personnel officers will go through this program. We need to do that ourselves, and that's what, again, I've directed the PDO, Wing PDO, to be working on, is to concentrate those efforts. I'm going to hit up a point here for you. I believe, are you aware of this? I shared this with you, didn't I? Okay, good. All group commanders, because I know you were aware, because it was shared with all group commanders. This is the first public outing of the information. That's basically our current geography. And there's been a lot of misunderstanding even about the current geography. So, if you can't make out group 3, group 1, large area, group 3, even larger area, group 22 and group 2. 4 groups. And there was a reason for this structure, and I understand the reason for the structure, but I also went back and discussed with Region, and in fact I even had to have a discussion with some national personnel about it, is that for growth purposes, this ain't going to work. For sustaining operations it can, but not for us growing. For us growing, new proposed geography. Group 3 has to be broken up. Group 1 will basically stay very similar to where it is right now, but notice that all groups are broken up on county geographies. Why are they broken up on county geographies? Well, those are municipalities. 2 groups going into the same municipality can be a problem when we're trying to coordinate efforts, right? Now there is no miscoordination. The only area that we get into that strange is Kane, DePage, and Cook. It's divided between group 2 and group 22, but it's defined along a corridor. And that corridor is a well definition. But basically that means that group 3 will be broken down into a brand new group 4. This will occur by the end of the month, it looks like. Group 4 will be coming online. Group commanders have already been selected for group 2 and group 22. Group 4 and group 22. I did like this, though, Jim did add in, Jim Briggs did this one, he did add in the Shawnee Force, so we could understand better the geography of Group 1. I doubt you guys are going to be putting the unit out in the middle of the Shawnee Forest, at least I hope not at this point. But, hey, I'm not going to stand in your way, sir, you decide you need one there. That may be full park rangers, but that also means that with this, there is the activation of 5 units this year. 5 units will be activated within Illinois. One of them, you know what your target is, right? Group 1, we discussed this. Are you willing to share this one? You can hold close to your chest. I'm not going to steal your. Okay, go hold for now. There's 5 of them. We'll be bringing 5 online. I'm really excited about that. And they are throughout the week. All groups will be at a 5-unit minimum quantity before the end of the year. Any questions? Those boundaries are a little bit weak right now because we're still we've set up our real-life game of Risk, and we've been sitting there throwing the dice with the group commanders and working out what the boundaries are. And Group 22 and Group 4 are still in a battle, and we're getting that geography set up. So there may be a slight change on 2 or 3 counties up there, but that'll be about it. But everybody will have their assigned counties. Your AOR, your area of responsibility. Fun. More opportunity to participate. More opportunity to participate means, again, more unit activities, more group activities, more wing activities, but also these activities will not be held down to groups or this area. If a unit decides to have an activity, I hope that activity is opened up to other people. If the group, the same thing. Because if somebody lives only 2 miles away from their activities being held, and they're not within the group, I'm hoping that they're still invited. Same way as I'm hoping that across wing barriers. You know, if somebody from Missouri comes over, I think that's great. More time to do what interests us. Because if we drop that 80% time down to 40%, you have more time. What would you like to do more? What did you come to CAP for? That's what that time is meant for, is for you to do what you want to do. A couple of ones we've talked about, and by the way, the way that this will work, by the way, is that the simulation flight units will be established before the all-cadet SARX is established. But I've already started to work with Group 2 and Group 22 on their flight simulation units. And when I'm talking about flight simulation units, these are actual squadrons that, do you remember me discussing about the Washington mission, where we had the simulation flights running with the actual? We're building that up right here in Illinois. Actually, Fox Valley and Powauke have volunteered already to become betas. I'm looking for one down south as a beta. As I've given direction to them, they'll run a common software platform, but from then on, it's up to them. Now, I will share my vision that has been shared with those units, which is these flight simulation units will be as close to real world as possible. And we can do it with the technology, and we can do it with the equipment that we already have. Believe it or not, you can build a cockpit environment out of PVC tubing, a tarp, and some tie ropes. Now you've got an area that they can enter into with now a desk, chairs, your computer. You've now got a cockpit environment to operate inside of. Now it's up to you on how far you want to take it. I brought up to them, I said, I'd like to have wind being blown in there. I said, I'd like to have light that we can change. I want a video camera on the back wall so we can see crew's performance while they're operating. So that we can have a person, a trainer, off to the side communicating with them. And so that after they're done, they can reflect on what their performance was. They can review the performance. We can use VoIP for cockpit communications between Mission Center and the simulation crew. So again, how far you want to take that process is up to you. The only thing that I want to make sure is we're running the same software. We've got a lot of experience with the Washington crew and what they've been able to do. We've already got the aircraft skin. We've got crash equipment already that we can just load in. We can launch from any place in CONUS, including Alaska and Hawaii. And we can place ELT beacons. And the aircraft already have DF units on board on the simulators, all by using a common software platform. I'm really excited about that. Again, what I saw from what we were able to do with Washington, we could take a level 1 response and have that within a wing evaluation. We could turn that into a regional or national response just by using the flight simulation. We can ramp up and make a pretty high load for staff personnel. Low load for the fun from the cadets and the seniors who want to participate in that. And on top of that, they don't all have to be in one location. As we proved, we had the simulation running out in Washington, and they were flying out of Illinois airports coordinating with our crews. So, really excited about that. Entry unit competitions. We'll find out more about those. I'd like some inputs in regards to what you'd like to do for competitions. I have some ideas for competitions. I'd like to see some more cap bowl competitions going on. I'd like to see some STEM competitions going on. I'd like to see some aerospace competitions going on. I think competitions are good. That goes even outside of the drill competitions. Drill competitions we should be running right now. Increased unit activities and increased community presence. How active is Shawnee within the community? Reasonably present? Okay, good presence. I challenge all of you to establish a presence and a better presence than what we even have right now. Okay. So, synopsis. We're getting towards you. We've been working since the change command to develop a new environment for growth. So, it looks like maybe it's been a long lull to each and every one of you, but it has been a long set of nights working on this to get this established. And it takes buy-in not just from a couple of people, it takes buy-in from all. Focusing our assets to improve our capabilities, improving command and control. This is the key point I want you to understand. Units perform the operations. Units perform the, even when we do a wing level exercise, units perform the operations. We have to have units to come in. That's how we get our exercises done. Groups need to understand that their job is to coordinate their operations within their AOR. Their job is to make sure that their assets are focused and addressing the needs of their AOR. They are not to add toll gates. They are not to add supplements. They are not to add restrictions. They are to allow their people to do their jobs and help them to understand how they can focus. And most of all, the staff needs to be subject matter experts. So that when something is needed at the unit, the first line of attack is group. Group has a problem, they're going to come to wing. Wing performs the guidance. And that is in by no means, again, I want you to understand, there are no toll gates here. I've gone to each one of the staff members. Joe, you know this. There are no toll gates. Basically, there is no, oh, you gotta get permission from so-and-so before you can go to step B. No. That's part of group coordination. Don't frighten your boss. That was one of the last ones. Don't frighten the boss. Don't poke the bear. So, Wing provides services and processes. I have told the vice commander is who's in charge of commanders. The chief of staff is in charge of the staff. I have told them both that if a staff member needs an action performed, that needs to go through the command channel. They do not have direct dial capability. So who's an AEO in here? Besides you, again. Okay, so you better not be hearing from the wing AEO, I need this by such and such date. You do, you make sure that that funnels all the way up. Because at that point, what will happen is, well, the first, you should go through chain of command. You should let your commander know. Your commander will let the group commander know. And believe me, I know the group commander will let wing know. But if you feel you're stopped, remember chain of command says, what's the only time you can bypass chain of command? And the answer is never. It's not never. Excuse me.
When you have, basically when you have an issue with your immediate commander, you can go one step above.
Wait.
So if you feel like your immediate commander is actively stopping you from doing something without cause.
It's not responding within a reasonable amount of time. Reasonable amount of time is the catch clause that can either get you the foot up the tailpipe or the pat on the back. So is basically, yeah, you've got a right to jump chain of command. And again, there was somebody who came to me this week and said, yeah, but it seemed like I never could get to you through chain of command. And I said, I got to tell you what, I got an open door policy. And I believe, sir, you have an open door policy.
Open door, closed mind, yes, sir.
Open door, closed mind. Open door means if you want to come to me as Jerry Shearer and ask me my thought, I'm happy to give you what my thoughts are. As wing commander, my answer is chain of command. I'll listen to you all day long. At the end of that conversation, you might as well go on and talk to the wall, maybe. I'll try to give you reasonable feedback, but I can't pass anything through unless it comes through chain of command. Okay? Is that kind of clear? I hope that's clear. So, this is where we come to the portion of questions. Einstein said that if I had an hour to solve a problem, my life depended on it, I'd use the first 55 minutes to determine the correct question. So don't feel you have to wait 55 minutes to give me the correct question. Go ahead and just fire them off. Any questions? Any problems? Any issues? Yes, sir.
The new stuff, we got our STEM program started and telescopes a year ago, and we're now in the remote control airplanes. I brought a couple that we do on CAP Saturday.
Okay.
First and third of every month, Saturdays. But now the FAA has a requirement for registration.
Correct.
How's CAP going to handle the registration like their glider? Like we have a glider, and I believe it should probably have the registration on it.
Okay.
And then further complicated just a little bit, and we'll probably discuss it within AEO more. A model rocket's a static thing, and that certainly goes 400 feet above. A lot of them do go above 400 feet. Are we looking at issues there that the drones flying around, things of this sort? How do we want to handle those things?
Well, first of all, there was notice that was put out earlier, in fact, late this last year, in regards to the registration of the UAVs. In fact, it was right before the FAA. Let me go back. CAP knew this was coming ahead of time. They have been working with the FAA in fact, through, I think it was early this last year, on the FAA registration policy. All units that I know delivered after December, it was after the cutoff date, I think it was November or December, that they automatically had them registered. The ones that were not registered before, you should be going through the AE program. So you go to your group AEO, let him know of the problem, because more than likely what it's going to be, sir, is you're going to go back to national and you're going to say, you know, do we need to file the paperwork? And they're going to tell you, yes, here's the paperwork, and you're going to say, thank you, we'll take care of it, and you'll get your.
I was just sort of curious, if it was gonna be a CAP-wide thing,
It
or
was.
maybe wing-wide, or gonna be air-wide, or
It
whatever.
was done already.
Okay.
It was done already.
I would say check with Gary Brown, he's been doing a lot of that up in Fox Valley. He's very involved in it.
Okay, hold on. Go through group.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, if you want to talk with Gary Brown, he may be able to give us some back feed on that. Because yes, Gary Brown's been working a lot with it. And by the way, Fox Valley is working on their, next high altitude launch this year, if you weren't aware, so we'll see. Hopefully we'll have a new Guinness record here coming up. Does that answer your question?
No, I'm completely satisfied.
No problem.
I just, so much stuff runs at a guy with a small unit, I have to sort of do everything, I must have missed it.
Yeah, not a problem. That was a notice that came out from a national headquarters this last year. In fact, it was November. Okay, great question. More, yes, sir.
We've been working on aircrew qualifications. One of the sticking points for us has been aerial photography.
Okay.
We have a aerial photography set in the Alton area, but due to scheduling, we have not been able to hook up with that person. Is there and if there is, I apologize, is there a resource available for us to locate an aerial photography set within the wing who we can work with to qualify some of our people?
Always. And I can give you a quick answer. And I think the quick answer is the right answer, but I'll refer to the DO in a second. The quick answer is the ES training officer, Lieutenant Colonel Walden, person you want to talk with. Yes, sir. Your amplification.
Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel Walden, Lieutenant Colonel Welsh. We've been able to work in the past where the aerial photographer set doesn't have to be on the airplane.
Okay.
So, but they can, kind of look at what the product they are uploading and things like that. So, but I'll work with Andy and Ray, and we'll get you guys spun up.
That's a great thing too, because there is nothing regulation that says that set has to be with the person at the time of taking the pictures. They have to qualify the pictures. So again, that's thinking outside the box. Others would have said, no, we got to find you a set. But that's also another good reason for the GA8, because we bring the flying boxcar down and we take up all the APs at one time. So twofold answer.
Being a new, relatively new qualification, that's the problem we had. So
Yeah.
this is a good workaround. So.
Exactly.
Thank
We need to get a base first. It comes back to almost the concept, if you remember several years ago, was the trainer program. When we start to bring up sets, that's the first thing. We've got to get our initial sets in place. And the way that it was written up in the past is, and I don't know how we've changed that, and something to think about. When we do have new qualifications come online, sets can't wait a year before they go from qualified status to set status. So if we could get some guidelines established on that.
It's, when we have a unit and he's got, say guys, just a scanner and wants to be a set, if we go into ops calls and try to make him a set, it's a firewall there says he doesn't have a year, so.
Yeah, but I think that's something we need to go back to national and address though, because we can't say that we can't qualify people for a year because we got a new qualification coming on.
Right, and I think that this whole toll gate thing it's working uphill, so that's a good thing. It may end up that way.
But it's kind of like in the past. I mean, it's like what we just found out this year, by the way, with the other year awards, which you should see the announcement coming out within the next couple of weeks for the week, is that they wanted the electronic process established, by the way. And I gave everybody direction that written was just fine. But what I don't like about the process, and I voiced it up, I've up-channeled it, is that when you submit something electronically, the requester gets immediate notification if approval or denial is made. With an of-the-year award, that causes a problem, because that means that people know the results ahead of time. So I've asked for that to be changed for the of-the-year awards, where it's, echelon approval, that if it only goes to the echelon, not out to the originator, but we'll see how that works. So all of a sudden, those of you who did make requests, you're going to see approvals and denials coming through. Keep it to yourself. I can't do anything about it. I'm going to try to make the announcements before I hit the approve or deny. But technology. It's been a technology week for me. And I work in technology. Okay, next question. Yes, sir.
And I'm glad you got the GAA, because that was certainly on my radar, although I was trying to trade off an Edsel for it.
Yeah.
Since we did give away the 182 with the topo, how is that going to impact glider operations?
As far as what I've had out of, as far as the Academy and National Glider goes, it shouldn't have any impact. Actually, there's going to be some more birds coming in this year. Different birds.
But I'm talking Illinois Wing.
Illinois Wing, again, there's been nothing coming out of the glider program that's even requested anytime this year.
Yeah, most of the glider tows are commercial. That seems to be more cost efficient, and we're down because of some of the clicks of old
Yeah, exactly.
with the tow pilots, and that's been our hardest struggle, is to qualify tow pilots and then finding the guys that have the time. So, and along with that, we did trade the Edsel, but long term, couple years, we're going to trade the Edsel hopefully for a new 182. That's like
Exactly.
so.
Exactly. So it's yes, we do understand that there's a short-term impact, but we weighed that against the what our alternatives were, and this looked to be the best. It wasn't just the most expedient, as I think if any of those who follow my Facebook feeds, I try to keep up to date on that. It was a better alignment of assets for both Michigan and, so it wasn't like I was dropping them a Edsel that they couldn't use. They actually had a piece of equipment they could use too, so we both became more mission capable. Yes, sir.
Then that's gonna put a big kibosh on glider operations from Canada.
No.
We're gonna get a loaner aircraft for summer camp and then for tows. Okay.
Yep, we will work out. Our bartering system works well. We'll get the hours, and we'll also get the, we will, if I haven't been clear about it, we are one CAP. And being one CAP between Missouri, Iowa, our region, we've got people who are more than happy to work with us and to bring in the assets to help us out. Okay? And we're the same way. It comes down to, I will share something, and by the way, this does go back to operations. I know you and I have had a bit of discussion about this. Counter drug is another wing was asking for assistance. And the answer coming back was, well, yeah, but you want us to fly your aircraft. And it's like, well, yeah, it's our mission. We'd like for you to fly our aircraft. It's like, I got no problem with that. But in the meantime, I'm being pushed back from one of our staff saying, yeah, but that's not getting hours on our aircraft. I said, we'll get hours on our aircraft. I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about is that, again, other wing needs help. We need to help them, and they will help us out. It needs to be a fair interaction here. But what we can't expect is, as we move forward, and I know I've said this to specifically operations, I know I've said this specifically to my command staff, is, as a wing, I don't want us walking around with our hand out. I want us walking around with our arms open, saying, what can we do to help you? Because if we are good stewards and we help other people out, they will be reciprocal, or else they will not be a partner for very long. Because we do have long memories. We forgive, but we have long memories. Yes, sir?
Big plus. Your wing administrator. I never met her. I'm in love with her. She is a big help.
Your wife might have something to say about that.
I've met her and her husband, and I'm in love with her. She honestly is one of the, is a great asset to this one.
I sent something in and 5 minutes later I get a response. If I have a question I don't understand, I mean, the woman is outstanding and I appreciate if you take care of her.
Oh, I do, believe me.
Because I'll whoop on you if you don't.
No, believe me, that's one thing that, again, I think it was, well, I'm trying to remember now. Bradley. It was Bradley who basically said that, the key to success is maintaining great staff and appreciating them. And that's what it comes down to. You've got a good staff, you take care of them. And in fact, I just for historical purposes, you take a look at any successful command, and it has been the staff, not the commander, that has made that a successful command. So again, I think the as the saying goes, make sure that you surround yourself with high qualified, competent people, and they will take care of you. And if they want to leave, do everything you can to hold on to them. I believe in that. You reward people for what they do right. You help people when they have a problem. And that's how we become a success. If somebody leaves CAP, that's as much our fault as it is theirs. Our fault because maybe they shouldn't have joined CAP. That's what the membership review boards are for. Maybe that's not the organization that they're best suited for. On the other hand, if they leave and we didn't take care of them, shame on us, because we didn't take care of an asset. It's just kind of like allowing an aircraft to sit there and rust. And that's one of the reasons why, again, our resources are dynamic and redeployable, because they will be shifted to where they are needed. So if somebody thinks that they've got this shiny bird sitting there for static display, that's not what it's there for. That bird will move. Guaranteed. And it's not based out of malice. It's not based out of vengeance. It's not based out of anything but need. So, you got a personal problem with it, please feel free to bring it to my desk. I think my staff knows that number one is that anything goes wrong, guess what? There's one person who gets it. I'm the person who gets it. But guess what? Gravity works. Flows downhill from there. Don't frighten the boss. That's the third time I've said it, so you know that. So, what else we got? Cadet programs, anything? Come on, it's got to be something in cadet programs. Cadets. Those who are left. Those who weren't smart enough to leave.
Actually, sure, this is all we started with.
Come on. You got to have something. What about CAC? You know all about CAC?
That's you. Come on out.
How are we going to bring in more cadets? Come on.
Come on, CSC.
This is the group one CAC
I love this. This is military at the best right now. Who you? You're in charge. I didn't say it was your fault. I said we're going to blame you. No. What's the thoughts? What can we do to bring in more cadets? On the spot. Come on.
Not asking questions?
I would probably say more community involvement. I mean, we have a pretty good community involvement, but I just feel like some squadrons, they just don't, you know, they're thinking like, why are we not getting enough cadets, but they're not outreaching to the right places in the community. They might just be doing the same place over and over.
Yeah. It's a good point. It's a good point. So the question is do you have any days that you're allowed to wear your uniforms in public?
December 1st.
December 1st?
Or that Sunday to church.
Yeah, church. Any other days? Has anybody requested to wear uniforms for any other days?
Not that I know, sir.
Hey, that'd be a good thing to ask me. Because guess what? The more you're seeing, the more questions you're going to get. So again, you guys were unfair to him, though. You know, I got to tell you, he at least came forward. The rest of you got some learning to do.
Yeah. This is your job.
And believe me, hey, what? By the way, Lieutenant, what did I say about gravity? Gravity works, right? It flows downhill. You're going to flow downhill once you get out of this meeting, aren't you? You're going to let the others know that.
This is the hill.
Hey, it flows both ways. Any other things on cadet programs?
Not that I know, sir.
No needs? You guys are well taken care of, huh? You're fed. Commander, you gotta make them more hungry. You gotta stop feeding them. They'll be hungry and they will sit down at the table and eat. So.
We'll work on it, sir.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So, that's on the cadet side. Pilot side. Since I'm not gonna get general questions, I'll start carpet bombing. Tart, any pilot questions here?
Well, one thing that I will say is, I want to just say thank you, Joe, to you, as well as your staff and you, sir, for allowing us a few months ago to qualify our pilot population in the G1000 aircraft. We've been hoping to do that for a long time, and it's a logistical question, of course, to make it happen, and we were able to do that and spun up, I believe, 8 of our pilots on the aircraft. We missed one just because of scheduling, but that was a very, very good thing for us down here, and we're looking forward to doing some proficiency training in that aircraft when it comes to maintenance here soon.
Fantastic. I love hearing that. Yes, sir.
Well, we'll get that last guy because I am, the G1000s, I'll move to a couple different airports. So 883 will come down here for your proficiency for a month or two, and then you send them a 172.
Great.
And we've also got 381 is getting a new paint job and new interior.
Right.
So I'll let you guys fly that around a little bit, new interior smell.
Picking it up.
Yeah. So
Coming back from Arkansas with new colors. Yes.
We are excited. We just dropped it
Great.
off 2 days ago.
And with that, do we have any issues going on out of logistics while I'm here? I will tell you from now on, logistics, although from now on, these targets that regulations say must be done by this date, you're going to find that there will be command direction saying you will have it done by this date. This bit about waiting to the last second, and you cannot believe what a load that puts on certain officers to try and clear that information. So we need to be more proactive. By the way, logistics, they do rate us on where we set in the queue of who got their inventories completed on time. When new equipment comes out, they actually go down that list and go, look at Illinois is at the top. They are taking care of their equipment. Looking at this stuff, it looks good. And we get the equipment. You sit there and you let that go to the end of the year, to the last second. Look at Illinois. They are not taking care of our equipment. I'm going to give it to so-and-so instead. So it does make a difference. Safety surveys. You ready for your safety stand down? Safety stand down. We got that coming up.
Stand down, sir.
Safety stand down.
It's just a safety thing.
Safety day, safety stand down. It's basically you're concentrated on safety. Per regulation, not something I put in place. So we will get that done. We will get it done on the time and not at the last second. I don't think we have any mishaps down here, that's great. I don't think we have any problems with comms flying here? Besides
Local computers, yeah.
Besides the INA repeater doesn't work?
Somebody want to plug that into a radio when we take off? We're gonna try to check that again.
We checked it, actually, we drove right by it.
Really?
Antenna's good, but
Okay.
it's not instrumental.
Yeah, no problem. Actually, Bob, before we headed out this week, he asked for us to check it on the way, and it's dead. I mean, we tried it several points along the way, it's dead. Anything other than INA? Everything else seems to be going all right? Yes, sir?
Seems like that is the farthest south repeater we have. Is there any possibilities of moving more south?
More south?
Actually, I get to use the one in Paducah.
Yeah, I know.
We talked about putting the one at Shawnee Correctional Center.
Yeah. Well, I have talked with Bob Becker, and we do have a possibility of bringing more online, more repeaters online. Of course, that has to be coordinated through national. That's not just our call, because that has to be coordinated with the National Repeater Strategic Planning Committee. Yes. So, Todd, you got that one? Okay, great. We'll take a look into it further south than INA. Any projected where you'd like to see it? The
Shawnee
Marion?
Correctional Center.
Shawnee Correctional.
Yeah, it's in a location that would be very, very opportunistic if we have Shawnee.
How high is this?
Only 350 feet.
Same antenna you get at, on the DOC.
And by the way, that's our other problem too, is number one, you know, when we put up an antenna, it costs us a lot of money, because we can't use our own tower planners anymore. So we have to always contract with tower planner, and then the problem is if we place it and then all of a sudden the lease goes away, then we have to leave equipment behind, and we've taken this one-time base cost and we can't defer it any longer. So we gotta be very careful. So I think, you know, if that is indeed the case, we wanna understand what our lease term is.
Free.
No, not the cost, the term. Just kind of like when I was talking with Captain Rimba.
That's what it is for right now. I mean, it's in perpetuity until one party decides to.
As long as we got something that, some guarantee on it, I got no problem. I think that's great.
It's the state of Illinois, sir.
Understood, but contract is a contract.
Right.
You know, if we don't have a contract, we ask for a contract. They won't give us a contract, we have to weigh that as a risk.
There is a written contract.
Okay. So that's fair. Again, as long as we have a term on it, that's fine. Okay, so communications, finances. Finances, I don't think anybody has any big problems. Do we?
Now, we're the first group to get our budget. So it's like,
Great. The only thing I would challenge is professional development. We need to get more people active in their specialty tracks. And I would like to spend a couple of minutes with you today before I get out of here, because I have some specific questions I need to address with you. Okay. Yes, sir.
With professional development, I heard something about,
Thank you for saying that. I'm wondering if this could be a question.
I've heard something about wanting to increase the amount of courses held at any one time.
No, it's not the amount of courses held at any one time. What we're trying to do, and this may not affect specifically, this isn't the question I was going to ask. This does not address the issue of your training weekend that you normally do. This is more specifically towards the group 3, group 4, group 2 through 22, where what we're trying to do is set up a rotation of events so that people aren't just once a year they can go for training. You know, I would desire that you enter into a rotation with the other groups, but
I'm willing,
but you have to also have groups that are willing to work. In other words, group 3 has to start putting out some training for you guys. Is that a fair statement?
It is.
Okay. What I was going to come back with the question of, I've heard about this UCC refresher course. What is that all about? There is a UCC refresher course that will be held this year, and it will be mandatory for commanders.
Is that a rehash of
No.
the national version?
No.
So that was the next logical question.
Yes, I know. And what the UCC refresher course is for is in place of the annual commander's call. It's a refresher course to bring the commanders all up to the same basic knowledge level of what's going on in the wing, what needs to be done in the wing. Here's where we're seeing problems. Here's how to address them. You know, that's what the UCC refresher course is for.
For the commanders.
For the commanders.
And this is going to be at which resort?
It's going to be at multiple resorts. It's going to be at multiple. We're not going to just hold it at one place.
Shawnee Correctional.
Shawnee Correctional.
Some of us may have their rather.
Sounds pleasant.
150-foot tower.
That may be a good alternative, by the way, but I think we'll have to get an MOU assigned for that. But yeah, we'll hold multiple areas. But the idea is we want to bring together all the commanders, you know, into one place, and again, we'll address the issues. And, you know, what we're trying to get away from is this concept, by the way, and I apologize about the UCC course as far as, and I know I'm going to get whacked because I know one of you are going to go out on your Facebook page and said, Colonel Shear said this. Yeah, Cap Talk, even better. That'll start a whole fire start. Yo, you're streaming.
Right now.
You're live streaming.
You're welcome.
I can see on YouTube now.
I can cancel if you want.
No, it's basically the UCC refresher. In my opinion, that's my disclaimer. In my opinion, does not prepare a commander. It needs to be augmented for functional purposes, not for theoretical purposes. So, with that said, it is a, what I called that earlier, it is a toll gate. It is a toll gate for a commander. But I do have to say that, by the way, sir, the wing commander's course is much different than it was in the past. So, National is getting better at some things. They are improving the quality. So, I have to say, you know, I am very impressed with our national commander and his command staff. They are very proactive right now. So, with that said, and we already now ready to go back to the grade of lieutenant colonel. Any other questions? By the way, I don't know when I default who goes in my place, but you'll find out. Yes, sir.
I have a question, Colonel.
Yes.
Can you take a few minutes to present an award for Major Climate?
I'd be more than happy to.
God bless you.
It's a rule of what goes right.
Are you allergic to flannel? No. That was a bad joke, wasn't it?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Say hi to the audience.
You gotta give me a second because I gotta understand what this is about, so.
We can stop it. What? Should we stop it? No. Things over.
Might as well get this.
Things gonna die eventually if they crash again.
No, it hasn't yet.
Yet. Emphasis on yet.
Okay.
In the armed forces, we would generally say attention to orders. So we would like to take this time now to not jump up, but attention to orders. Will Cadet Mercer please come forward? Connected. I apologize. Report to Mercer.
Chief, you can do citation.
Justification for citation. Cadet Missler is an outstanding cadet who, on a daily basis, goes above and beyond as a cadet. Even though Cadet Missler hasn't been in the program that long, he has accelerated through the program at an amazing rate and has performed remarkably. From the day he joined, he has displayed a willingness to learn and an unimaginable drive to achieve his goals. He has served on the squadron cadet staff as the flight sergeant and has been chosen to be the next cadet commander of the Shawnee Composite Squadron. During his CAP career, Cadet Messler has completed the Model Rocketry Program, the Aerospace Education Excellence Program twice, and has taken a leading role in the squadron's aerospace education and honor guard programs. He has also attended the Illinois Wing Summer Encampment and was a top-ranking cadet at the 2015 Specialized Undergraduate Pilot Training course at Columbus Air Force Base. He has also been named the Shawnee Composite Squadron Cadet of the Quarter, or Cadet Staff Member of the Quarter, every quarter since he has joined. He was awarded the 2014 Air Force Sergeants Association Cadet NCO of the Year and the Shawnee Composite Squadron Cadet of the Year. Cadet Mercer has been interested in aviation since a very early age. He has displayed an outstanding interest and knowledge of anything and everything related to aerospace. His experience, leadership skills, and overall willingness to learn will be a great benefit to the future of aeronautics, and I have no doubt in my mind that he will achieve his goal. He is an example of leadership for today and for the future. On behalf of the Shawnee Composite Squadron, it is my honor to nominate Cadet Second Lieutenant Nicholas Mercer for the CAP Silver Air Patrol Achievement Award, signed Major Wesley B. Blank.
And by the way, this is a group level award, and it is something not to be taken lightly. And it sounds like you were achieving, and with that, you set the bar for others, but also for yourself, which means to continue to achieve. Look forward to some outstanding results, not just out of the squadron, but by yourself. Thanks. Congratulations. Up, turning this way. Andrews. Go ahead. As you would. There. As you would. I think we're at the end, that's why I only gave you Andrews. You look tired, so we'll let you go. Anything else? If not, I really appreciate all your time. I appreciate all that each one of you do for CAP. It is not gone unnoticed. Shawnee, outstanding unit. It's always a pleasure to come down here and visit. Again, boosters, thank you so very much. For those of you who came in and drove up from out of area, I really appreciate it. For those of you who were able to attend online, thank you. Hopefully you found this informative and useful. And I'll tell you, I'm excited to be moving forward this year. I think there's a lot of exciting work ahead for all of us, but that means all of us need to chip in. And we need to support our commanders as best we can so that we can get the job done and at the end of the day have more fun. But I hope that you're all proud of the organization and what you do. So I really appreciate it. With that said, attend HUD. Dismissed. There's also cake